Now we are starting 2014 paper 2. See the first question. We have to write short notes on Gandhi's efforts on communal harmony. Mahatma Gandhi, as you know, devoted himself to curb the Hindu-Muslim divide, and that was reflected in all his efforts, including the various satyagrahas and the NCM movement and all of them. Deepankar Gupta has also said about it. Alright, Gandhi's approach was based on understanding more moral and spiritual dimensions of existence. So, he tried to bridge the gaps and divides. Another question is modernization of Indian traditions. This is also a book by Yogendra Singh, wherein he analyzed the impact of Western culture on India. Yogendra Singh. Alright. Modernization of Indian tradition is also the name of his book. He analyzed the impact of Western culture on our motherland, on India, and British influence and all of that he analyzed. Alright, how Indian traditions are modernized and how India has also accepted modernization in its own way. You can talk about neo-traditionalism also in this case. Then we have types of kinship systems in India. What are the type of kinship systems? Various, see, पहले affinal relationships, then you have other conjugal relationships, marriage relationships. Alright, all these socially constructed relationships are there. Then you talk about lineage, patrilineal, matrilineal. You talk about the gotra, the various patterns of marriage which are prevalent. Alright, this is a very detailed question. Various aspects of marriage are different when you talk about different communities. There can be various examples which you can include here. Then we have the features of caste system. They are the Chaturvarna system. Also the features are already mentioned in the NCERT. What are the features? The features are endogamy, marriage within the same caste group, endogamy, but different gotra. Alright. Another is no food sharing. Another is a hierarchical pattern. और बहुत सारी चीज़ें, social mobility is restricted. All of these are features. Then it is asked कि GS गोरिये की इंडोलॉजिकल अप्रोच कैसे सोसाइटी को समझने में हमारी मदद करती है. तो इंडोलॉजिकल अप्रोच क्या थी, जहाँ पे GS गोरिये ने ये एम्फसाइज किया कि इंडियन सोसाइटी और इंडियन कल्चर यूरोपियन सोशियोलॉजी के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से अपन स्टडी नहीं कर सकते. हमें एक यूरोसेंट्रिक अप्रोच नहीं अपनानी चाहिए. यूरोसेंट्रिक नहीं होनी चाहिए अप्रोच क्या होनी चाहिए? अप्रोच इंडोलॉजिकल होनी चाहिए. ऑलराइट, इंडोलॉजी का अप्लाई करना चाहिए और हमें एक यूनिक फ्रेमवर्क का इस्तेमाल करना चाहिए इंडियन सोसाइटी को समझने के लिए. ऑलराइट, और भी इंडोलॉजिकल अप्रोच यूज़ करके और भी सोशियोलॉजिस्ट ने और एंथ्रोपोलॉजिस्ट ने कंट्रीब्यूशन किए. वन ऑफ देम वाज इरावती. कर्वे. Alright, you will talk all about this, and then you will talk about the GS Ghurye's study and his methodologies. He also believed that religion is very central to the behavior of the society and to the human culture. He highlighted the features of Indian society. Features of Indian society. His work and approach was very unique and was central to the Indian thought. Now analyze the different views on integration and autonomy of tribes in India. See, here we have to talk about the policy of autonomy and the policy of integration or assimilation. wherein the scheduled tribes are integrated into a larger society based on visions that there are no social distinctions and they can live with us, they can contribute to the socio-economic folio. Alright, so see, we know that tribals, firstly, we will emphasize that tribals have a unique culture, a distinct socio-political economic orientation which is separate from the mainstream society. Then there are these approaches which you will list. Discuss the social background of Indian nationalism. Indian nationalism is what? Rooted in the concept of distinct Indian identity and nationhood. You talk about Bengal School of Art, how Bengal School of Art, the Bharat Mata, was propagated as a symbol of nationalism. This is also a form of totem when you talk about Durkheim's point of view, because people associated with it, and this is very important for all of us. This is the form of our identity. This is a part and parcel of our, not only our emotional but also our spiritual identity. India resonates in our hearts. That is very true and that is very good. So social background of Indian nationalism, in this you will also talk about the Congress, the All India Muslim League, all of them you will talk about. How demand for separate Muslim nation was raised and how different sort of people like zamindars had different demands, the tribals had different demands. Birsa Munda, who was regarded as a perfect human. You'll talk about the various roles of various social reformers. You'll talk about women's movements, not actually women's movements but women's roles. What were the roles women played in national struggle? There were various roles. There are various exemplary examples. Alright, there are various you can say beautiful examples of this framework wherein Indian nationalism women played a lot of important roles, like Usha Mehta. So we don't have to divide. See, Indians played an important role in general, but when it is asking about the social background, you will see what roles was played by Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, by zamindars, by women, by men, by peasants, by tribals. All of that you will define here. Define patriarchy. How does it impact the overall entitlement of girl child in India? What is patriarchy? Where the men have dominant control and power in various spheres of life like marriage, family, economy of the family. You can talk about overall entitlement. You can talk about that females are discriminated from their birth to their death. There is female infanticide, then they are treated inferior, then they are subordinated, which is very bad, which is very inhuman and very unethical. Alright, so you'll talk about all the concerns and you have an opportunity to write a beautiful answer in this case. Alright, give a sociological analysis. If I was asked to write this answer, I can write around I can write around 150 pages on this. I can tell you 150 pages. Give me around 6 hours, I'll write. Not even 6 hours, even lesser than that, if the question is such wherein you can relate. See, migrant, urban, poor, you can relate, you can mention COVID-19, you can mention a lot of examples, so you'll be better off and you'll be able to write a good answer. What are the issues? Identity issue. Economically they are deprived, they work in an informal sector, the lack of acceptability, they are treated like they are not treated well. Homelessness is a problem. They are in fact vulnerable in many cases. You talk about domestic help, how is it vulnerable? How state also neglects the migrant laborers, but state also tries to make laws and incorporate them into the main full society so that they get their rights. Alright, so you'll talk about all this. You'll talk about the sociological view also, about Manrega, everything. Alright, discuss the problems of religious minorities in India. What are the problems? They are not that literate, so they are economically backward also. ठीक है, वही विशियस साइकिल. उनके पास एजुकेशनल अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ नहीं है. क्यों नहीं है? क्योंकि शायद वो उन एजुकेशनल अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ का यूज़ नहीं करना चाहते, या फिर सोसाइटी उन्हें उस फोल्ड में, उस लाइट में देखना ही नहीं चाहती. इस्लामोफोबिया एग्जिस्ट इन आवर सोसाइटी. ऑलराइट, in our society some people are discriminated, in our society some violent son of the soil theory is there. All of that is there. See, what a society should be like. A society should be like equal. A society should be like ideal, wherein everyone is respected. But that is the problem, that people do not want to be equal and ideal. That is the very problem. That is why violence is there. But our aim and objective is to end all forms of discrimination and all forms of violence. Our objective is to live with harmony. Our objective is to value each and every citizen in spite of their religious, social, economic, gender affiliations. We have to value each and every individual. That is what must be realized by each and every individual. Alright, there are problems regarding religious minorities. They face communal tensions. Then UCC is there. The Uniform Civil Code is a uniform set of laws. So minorities say कि ये uniform set of laws में हमें मत डालो. UCC अच्छा भी है state के लिए और minorities उसके against भी हैं, तो कुछ ना कुछ loopholes भी हैं जो हमें सुधारने हैं और हमें एक better policy लेके आनी है. Alright, write some important social reforms in India for the removal of untouchability. What were the important social reforms in India? अब इंडिया में you will talk about the modern India also, starting from Indian National Congress, where abolition of untouchability was a major objective of INC. Do you know this? Indian National Congress had a major objective, abolition of untouchability, because B.R. Ambedkar founded the BHS, Bahishkrit Hitakarani Sabha. BHS was founded by B.R. Ambedkar. You know this. Already you'll mention this Pune Pact. You will mention how B.R. Ambedkar and Gandhi saw the untouchables from different point of view. B.R. Ambedkar said separate electorates. Gandhi said no, this will divide the nation. Pune Pact happened in 1932. Alright, temple entry movements. You will mention how Indian government also implemented various laws and various provisions in the constitution. Then you will mention about the Mandal Commission also. Prevention of Atrocities Act 1989 में पास हुआ था, उसके बारे में you will mention. Alright, let us move forward. See, discuss the status of women among emerging urban middle class. Status of women among the emerging urban middle class. अर्बन मिडिल क्लास कौन लोग हैं जिनके पास सिग्निफिकेंट ग्रोथ और सोशल मोबिलिटी की अपॉर्चुनिटीज आ गई हैं. Alright, so now the status of women among them. Women are becoming freer. They are trying to participate more in STEM activities. They are getting career advancement opportunities and high salaries, which is a very good thing for our nation. Alright, so these are the positive steps which are happening because of the emerging urban middle class. Urban middle class always brings about changes. सोसाइटी इस फॉर्म में चल रही है, एक पर्टिकुलर फॉर्म में चल रही है. अर्बन मिडिल क्लास उस सोसाइटी को बेटर करने की कोशिश करते हैं हमेशा. Alright, right to education you will mention, maternity benefit act you will mention. All of that will make your answer very beautiful. Describe the impact of land reforms on the... See, again, this video is not fast. I am speaking very fast so that my commitment, which is a very difficult commitment to do all the PYQs, है ना, 15 साल के all the PYQs, I fulfill that. Alright, that is why I am speaking very fast and I am going very fast. Otherwise, we can talk about one question for around 4 hours. Alright, if you want, I can talk about them, but I know no one is going to see and no one is going to appreciate this or anything for that matter. But when I've decided I have to fulfill the commitment of 15 PYQs, I'll fulfill it for myself, for someone else, for everyone. Alright, so I'll try to be fast in this case so that we cover everything and we have a, you can say, bird's eye view of what all is being asked. Already discuss the impact of land reforms on the peasants of Indian society. Land reforms were what? They were aimed to redistribute land to provide security of tenure, alright, to promote agricultural productivity and to make the land system more egalitarian. Impact क्या हुआ कि फेयर और इक्विटेबल एक्सेस तो मिला, पर फिर भी कुछ लूप होल्स थे जो लैंडलॉर्ड्स ने निकाल लिए. पर इंटरमीडिएटरीज को काफ़ी हद तक अबॉलिश कर दिया गया. सो इट वॉज सिग्निफिकेंट. You know, there were these Benami transfers which happened because of the Land Ceiling Act. So you can talk about all that. What is the idea of Indian village? See, what is the idea of Indian village? Here you will talk about the writings of ethnographers also, colonial administrators also. Like James Mill you will talk about. He will tell you what is the idea of Indian village. You will talk about M.N. Srinivas's study of the remembered village and Andre B. Taylor also. Alright, Mysore में study करी थी M.N. Srinivas में. You will talk about all this. Caste system you will talk about. All of this will come. So what all have we done till now? We have done... One second. We have done Gandhi's efforts on social harmony, modernization. I am just trying to bring a framework in front of you. What is being asked? Caste system was asked. Then again, The religious minorities was asked untouchability, urban poor, patriarchy, social background, Indian nationalism, integration and autonomy of tribes, caste, kinship, modernization of Indian tradition, communal harmony. Alright, land reforms, Indian village, emerging middle class. Yeah, what is the idea of Indian village? We just did. कि कैसे caste system Indian village में prevail करता है, कैसे various studies were carried about. Now let us move towards section B. Trends of infant mortality rate among women. Of course, see, what is infant mortality rate? When before the age of 1 year, as per the 1000 live births, है ना, the number of females which unfortunately do not survive. See, there are biological factors also, but there is gender bias also, which is perpetuating this, especially in the rural areas where women are at high risk of mortality because of unregulated and unstructured deliveries. Alright, so all this you will mention about Pradhan Mantri Surakshit Matritva Abhiyan or integrated child development services. What I'm saying on the basis of my own analysis. I'm not referring to anything, so there might be cases where I might ignore certain facts. Alright, but I will try my best to be 100% here in this explanation so that I do not miss out on things. Domestic Violence Act you will mention. What you will mention in the Domestic Violence Act? That it was a comprehensive legislation, number one. It aimed to protect women from domestic abuse and violence, and it also emphasized on various innovative provisions like counseling of the victim and the perpetrator, also imposing penalties. So the act raised awareness about women's rights, and it is very inhuman of society when such things take place and when you have to read about such things. Alright, so you as a person has to solve this. Ostracization of women should not happen. Reporting of abuse should happen. All this is important. Dynamics of contemporary Dalit movements. You can talk about the recent protests. Like there was a recent protest in this in various parts of India regarding Dalits, and social media is playing a massive role in the recent protests which are happening. Alright, Dalits are trying to raise consciousness. Dalits are trying to raise consciousness about their rights. So various like Ambedkar protests are happening. Many protests are still happening. So currently also Bahujan Samaj Party you can mention, Dalit Panthers, Mahar movement, all that you can mention. It is there in the NCRT. Alright, impact of privatization on educational disparities. What is the impact of privatization? See, this is a very beautiful question. Privatization in education is when the ownership and the control of education system is in the private hands. So what private entities want? They want only one thing. In economics we write it as this. They want what? They want profit. They want what? They want profit. So for the profit they do anything. For the profit they take illegitimate fees, and the educational outcomes between rich and poor are divided. So there is educational disparity because rich get educated in rich institutions, wherein the rich institutions work for profit and are very promising. The institutions which are sponsored by state are also promising, but still they lag behind because they do not involve or inculcate certain core values. That is why NEP is our solution. That is why Swayam portals are there. That is why privatization and reversing privatization is not possible, but regulating privatization is possible, and by ensuring that every student gets an equal opportunity in this digital era to learn and to contribute to the nation is important. Alright, equality is always important. Always keep this in mind. Now, rural landless laborers and development induced displacement. You have to write about it. Okay, you have to write your short notes and sociological perspective on this. So what will you write in this case? Rural landless laborers are the ones who do not own the land, and then they have development induced displacement also. So the land gets lost and then they are displaced, so they lose their livelihoods, and most importantly what do they lose? They lose social networks. क्या लूज करेंगे सबसे ज़्यादा? सोशल नेटवर्क्स. ऑलराइट, जब सोशल नेटवर्क्स नहीं है, वल्नरेबल हो जाएंगे वो, उनको बेसिक सर्विसेज नहीं मिलेंगे, उन्हें साइकोलॉजिकल वीकनेस फील होगी. क्या फील होगी? साइकोलॉजिकल वीकनेस. जी, वीकनेस, यस. they will feel weak psychologically, they will feel deprived psychologically. All right, marginalized feel करेंगे वो rural landless laborers. All right, what are the main features of second wave of women's movement in Indian context? You can write about this in detail, है ना. It is different from the first wave. second wave में हमने काफ़ी acts देखे, जैसे dowry prohibition act जो हमने देखा, यहाँ पे भी अपन ने उसके बारे में बात की. डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस एक्ट के बारे में बात की 2005 का. डाउरी प्रोहिबिशन एक्ट 1986 का, इफ आई एम नॉट रॉन्ग. ऑल राइट, वो सब यू विल राइट अबाउट दैट. ऑल राइट, मेजर माइलस्टोन्स हमने देखे, इंक्लूसिविटी हमने बढ़ते हुए देखी. एनजीओज ने काफ़ी हद तक की रोल निभाया in order to realize women's rights. And you know what happened? Me Too movement happened, many other movements happened wherein women were made more aware that they should be having an empowered responsibility towards the society. All right, Chipko movement as an example of ecofeminism. Very beautiful question. Ecofeminism is what? That women are connected more to the nature, and when exploitation of environment happens, the women are the first ones to raise the voice. They are what? The first ones to raise the voice against the discriminatory practices which are going on when it comes to the environmental degradation. Why? Because discriminatory practice, क्योंकि हमने उन लोगों को तो लेजिटिमिटी दी नहीं जो environment से connected है ना. हमने किसको लेजिटिमिटी दी? कैपिटलिज्म को. तभी चिपको मूवमेंट इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. वेयर डिड इट हैपन? इट हैपेंड इन उत्तराखंड, गढ़वाल उत्तराखंड, 1970s. हग द ट्रीज मूवमेंट wherein women went and hugged the trees. So it is a landmark movement in the history of environmental, you can say, activism. All right, environmental activism. Let us move ahead, discuss the impact of globalization on workers of the informal sector. What are the impacts of globalization? Globalization is increasing integration in the society, so workers in the informal sector have more opportunities. But also, see, when worker employer relation is weak because the employer is located somewhere else, the workers and their demands are not fulfilled in a fuller manner. So you can say workers are benefited also, but workers suffer also. They are sometimes paid substandard wages, they have less social security, and then globalization also makes employment more fragile. What does globalization do? Stronghold नहीं है, क्योंकि कनेक्टिविटी नहीं है. मतलब कनेक्टिविटी इन सेंस the laborers feel alienated. Alright, the same thing. You can write about theories and everything in this case. What are the demographic projections for the aging population? What are the demographic projections for the aging population for the next decade? Alright, what are the implications of forming a policy for them? See, aging population बहुत सारे challenges पोज करती हैं, जो challenges economic भी हैं, sociological भी हैं और medical भी हैं. ऑल राइट, सो हमें एक अच्छा कोड इस्तेमाल करना चाहिए वेयरइन हमें सारी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चरल डेफिशिएंसीज को कम करना चाहिए ताकि डेथ रेट कम हो, ताकि सोशल सपोर्ट इंक्रीज हो, ताकि उनकी इकोनॉमिक डिपेंडेंस कम हो. तो हमें अपने सिल्वर डिविडेंड को क्या यूटिलाइज करना चाहिए, हमें एक सपोर्टिव इन्वायरमेंट को बनाना चाहिए वेयरइन प्रॉब्लम्स फेस बाय एल्डरली आर टारगेटेड. और हमें कुछ लेजिस्लेशंस को भी एनफोर्स करना चाहिए. What are the possible underlying causes of the spurt of increasing violence against women in public places in the last decade? See, there are many factors. Technology and social media have created new forms and new opportunities of harassment. You will mention this, technology and social media. Objectification of women is happening, which is very bad, again very unethical, inhuman. The most important thing which shall be taught to the people is to respect the women, and it is something which is not worthy of being taught also. It should be understood by on own spirit and conscience. This thing should be understood, that if you do not respect your the people who are around you, if you do not respect the fellow human beings, then how the hell are you good and good to choro, how the hell are you capable of being called a human being? All right, so all of this is there, lack of intervention is there, people are cared to intervene when such kind of cases of violence happen. Alright, you saw the Blinkit wala example in recent case. The police officers are also less, and what happened was there was a particular delivery agency. There's no problem when it comes to the gig platform. The platform is very good. All the innovations, all the technological social media innovations are very good. They are very positive for the society, but the society misuses them. The delivery agents, he knew that the women is alone, so he can do anything, but he shouldn't do anything. And the women also have to raise their voices accordingly, not in public sphere but in personal sphere. They should realize that I have the control. I have the control over the environment around me, and nothing of that sort should happen. And if it goes against me, and if something happens, then I am more sensitized. I am more aware of making sure that no one gets to assert power or or power or dominance over me. That is very important. So women shall be trained. Women shall be and it is not important also. See, when it comes when you talk about power, for males they have to be taught that they are powerful, कि तुम ताकतवर हो. Males are taught. Women are not even needed to be taught. They already have that within them. It is just that they should awaken it within them, that they already have a lot of power. They already have a lot of courage to fight whatsoever wrong is happening in society. They are the upholders of dharma. So, and males who respect women are truly the ones who can be called males. Alright, otherwise so here in this answer you can write a lot about this. I'm sorry, I'm fumbling a lot today. How do caste and class come together, creating a category of extreme poor? What will you write in this case? Caste is a hierarchical system and class is also a hierarchical system. Both are based on social stratification. ऑलराइट, सो एक्सट्रीम पुअर दोनों मिला के बना ही देते हैं एक तरीके से. और इसको किसने एनालाइज किया? कास्ट और क्लास के नेक्सस को. देयर वाज अ सोशियोलॉजिस्ट हु एनालाइज दिस. अलॉन्ग विद दैट यू कैन टॉक अबाउट डिस्क्रिमिनेशन which is present in all the public spheres. So discrimination will lead to more divides, a discriminatory attitude which is still prevalent. Alright, so we need a multifaceted approach. We need government intervention to curb the same. Otherwise it will keep perpetuating poverty. Many caste conflicts are between castes which are close to each other on the hierarchical scale. See, when you talk about hierarchy, alright, you talk about principle of purity and pollution, you talk about the Chaturvarna system. So caste-based conflicts in India arise when they are adjacent to the hierarchical ladder. For example, a dispute may emerge between two castes that are contending for political dominance at a particular place. Alright, and rivalries and tensions are created between different groups. You know about relative deprivation, you can write it here. Alright, you can write about various state policies so that legal and social reforms are always enforced above the caste-based discrimination. Alright, a secure and inclusive society is the need of the hour. Tribal conflicts based on ethnic differences camouflage a struggle for political and economic advantage. Tribal conflicts are based on ethnic differences, and different tribal groups perceive their differences of religion, culture, language, other facts. So, Khasi and Garo tribes you can mention in Meghalaya. Naga and Meitei tribes you can mention in Manipur. You can mention the need for fostering an ethnic dialogue and you can say a policy tool wherein we achieve peace, we achieve equality, we achieve stability, we achieve equal advantage for equal group of people, and wherein we achieve an ideal sort of framework wherein there's no discrimination. Who are the elites? Discuss their role in bringing the social transformation. Who are the elites? Elites are people who hold significant political, social and economic power. So elites can be religious leaders, yes. Elites can be business leaders, yes. Elites can be academicians, yes. Elites can be intellectuals, yes. Mahatma Gandhi was an elite because he was an intellectual. Political leaders में Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Jawaharlal Nehru, B.R. Ambedkar, G.V. Mavlankar, all of them elites. Alright. social activists were there. Medha Patkar, you can talk about environmentalist. Alright, you can talk about human rights activists, you can talk about current activists, you can talk about economists, you can talk about other forms of elites wherein they bring social transformation by emphasizing that the particular section of the society, for example education, alright, the particular sections of the society who are disadvantaged when it comes to education and advantage. You can talk here about the I'm forgetting it again. Azim Premji Foundation. Alright, you can talk about various other methods wherein social issues with the help of activism have been solved into have been solved and have been, you can say, unjumbled. Alright, unjumbled. The social issues have been actively made have been actively made and the social issues have been actively made as a form of stepping stone towards social transformation, alright, because of the activists. So activists help in making the social issues into a stepping stone of social transformation. Alright, now let us do paper 1 of 2025. We are done with 2013 papers. We are done with 2013 papers. We are done with 2014 papers. Now we are doing 2015 papers. Let us quickly do the paper 1. What does it say? Is sociology a science? Give reasons for your answer. Do you think sociology is a science? Of course it is a science, but do you think it is completely science? No, it is not completely science, because normative approach is limited, and many sociologists said that sociology cannot be studied only through scientific methodologies. Alright. See, there was a sociologist I'll tell you about. His name was Robert Bierstedt. He said what? That sociology is a social science. What did he say? Sociology is a social science. Sociology is not a natural science. He said sociology is a social science. Alright, now discuss the relevance of historical method in the study of sociology. Historical method is very important and very useful for sociology because it helps you understand the increasing evolution of social structures and social institutions. Alright, so this is what historical method is. Historical method, Giddens, you can talk about Anthony Giddens, who said history is he said history is past sociology, history is past sociology, sociology is present history. Alright, all of these quotes you can talk about. You can talk about how modernity is characterized by unprecedented degree of social and cultural change. So that is why historical thought and historical perspective is important. You can talk about Max Weber, you can talk about Karl Marx. So alright, what are variables? Discuss their role in experimental research. वेरिएबल्स क्या होते हैं? वेरिएबल्स कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स होते हैं. वेरिएबल्स अगर अपन इकोनॉमिक्स में बात करें तो एक्स वाई जेड. व्हाट इज दिस? दिस इज डिमांड इन्फ्लुएंस्ड बाय अवेयरनेस ऑफ द कंज्यूमर. सप्लाई पुश फैक्टर्स इन्फ्लुएंस्ड बाय द product differentiation. Demand is influenced by all of them. So in sociology also you talk about birth rate, influenced by what is the mindset of the people. ये क्या independent? नहीं sorry, ये क्या है dependent? ये क्या है independent mindset of the people? Independent variable. और बताओ, birth rate is identified and affected by variables like economic independence. Birth rate is affected by health facilities, health infrastructure. Alright, so these are the variables and they are very important for experimental research. You know this, right? They are the source through which we examine the social phenomena, and they make and shape our understanding of various social issues. Which concepts did Max Weber use to analyze the forms of legitimate domination? See, Max Weber talked about authority. He talked about ideal types of authority, traditional authority, charismatic authority, rational legal authority. कौन सी authorities he talked about? Traditional, charismatic. You can give the example of Jawaharlal Nehru. Rational legal. You can also give the examples of Chaturvarn system, all of that. Alright, the various kings, everything. Alright, so there are different types of authority, and rational legal authority said is the most effective and efficient form of authority in the modern world. Alright, no society can either be absolutely open or absolutely closed. Alright, so every society is partially open, partially closed. We did this earlier also. Herein you can talk about the horizontal and vertical mobility and intra-generational and intergenerational social mobility. You will talk about various countries like USA wherein certain opportunities are there for career advancement and entrepreneurship. You will talk about countries like Africa wherein opportunities are less, so mobility is less. So it is a closed system, but it is also an open system. USA is also a closed system, but it is also an open system. You will talk about Sanskritization and everything. Alright, role of Calvinist ethic in the development of capitalism. Calvinist ethic was Protestant ethic which was introduced by Max Weber. You know this. When did he introduce this? He introduced it in 1905. Alright, Weber considered Protestant ethic as one of the most essential factors for the development of capitalism, because it argued for the spirit of capitalism. You should save, you should live an aesthetic lifestyle. Ascetic lifestyle. Ascetic lifestyle. You should try your best to reduce the amount of you can say you should try your best to maximize your wealth, and do not believe in superstitions. All of this was emphasized. Examine the problems of maintaining objectivity and value neutrality in social research. बहुत problems हैं. Subjectivity आ ही जाती है जब आप sociological analysis करोगे. You will find out that the notion of value neutrality is difficult to achieve, and sociologists try their best to avoid their own moral judgments. All of this. Self and society are twin born, द्विजा born. See this. ये किसकी थ्योरी है? सिंबॉलिक इंटरैक्शनिज्म की थ्योरी है जो कि मीड ने दी थी. ऑलराइट, उसमें उनने कहा था कि सेल्फ अलग है, आई अलग है, मी अलग है. मैंने इस पर डिटेल में भी बात की. क्रिटिसिज्म था इसका बहुत ज़्यादा कि ये बहुत लिमिटेडली एप्लीकेबल थ्योरी है, और ये ओवर एम्फसाइज करते हैं कुछ चीज़ों पे, जैसे रोल ऑफ सोशलाइजेशन पे ओवर एम्फसाइज करती है, और ये साइकोलॉजिकल एनालिसिस ज़्यादा है और सोशोलॉजिकल एनालिसिस कम देखने को मिलता है. व्हाट इज़ रैंडम सैम्पलिंग? Why is random sampling said to have more reliability and validity in research? What is random sampling? It is a statistical method. When you study economics with me, if you want to study, you will realize that we study a lot of statistics. Alright, I am an economics student. I have graduated in economics, and I have studied economics as my optional subject, and I have completely studied economics on all the levels and for all the examinations, like GATE, IIT, JAM, all of them. Alright, IES. So economics is a very good subject wherein you make use of statistics. So herein in statistics we see that random sampling is a representative form of sampling wherein each member of population has an equal chance of being included in the sample. So when everyone is included, reliability and validity will increase, transparency will increase. Alright, differentiate between Marxian and Weberian theories of social stratification. What are Marxian and Weberian theories? Stratification क्या है? सबसे पहले तो stratification is dividing the society into stratas, alright, on the basis of social, economic and political status. So now differentiate between the Marxian and Weberian theories जी. कैसे डिफरेंट है? मार्क्स क्या कहता है कि क्लास स्ट्रगल होना चाहिए, बुर्जुआ है और प्रोलेटेरिएट्स है. वेबर क्या कहता है? वेबर कहता है कि एक तरीके का क्लास डिफरेंस एग्जिस्ट करता है, बट पावर बहुत सारे फैक्टर्स के बेसिस पे डिटरमाइन करी जा सकती है, और कुछ हद तक पावर सोसाइटी में एग्जिस्ट करना ज़रूरी है, पावर स्ट्रक्चर भी ज़रूरी है. हाउ हैड एनलाइटनमेंट कंट्रीब्यूटेड टू द इमर्जेंस ऑफ सोशियोलॉजी? एनलाइटनमेंट, आई एम सॉरी आई एम मूविंग अ बिट फास्ट, बट इट इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर मी टू मूव अ बिट फास्ट, ऑलराइट, सो दैट वी कंप्लीट एवरीथिंग. और दिस यू कैन राइट. आई हैव ऑलरेडी डिस्कस्ड मार्क्स एंड वेबर. एक क्वेश्चन था अभी 2013 का, उसमें मार्क्स एंड वेबर वाज आस्क्ड explicitly, so we did that there also. Things are getting repeated. How had enlightenment contributed to the emergence of sociology? Very famous question. Enlightenment led to intellectual scientific revolutions. Enlightenment led to political revolution. What happened after enlightenment? French revolution. So enlightenment was a process of systematic inquiry. A process of what? A process of systematic inquiry. तो इमर्जेंस हुआ ना एक सब्जेक्ट का जो कि सोसाइटी को पूरी तरह एनालाइज कर सकता है, सोशल प्रॉब्लम्स को पूरी तरह देख सकता है एक सच्चे और एक विश्वसनीय नज़रिए से. ऑलराइट, नाउ सी दिस. नॉन पॉजिटिविस्टिक मेथोडोलॉजी इज एसेंशियल फॉर अंडरस्टैंडिंग ह्यूमन बिहेवियर. What is non-positivistic methodology? It is a set of methodology where social phenomena can be studied like in a bipartisan non-positivistic. See, positivistic is scientific, non-positivistic is not unscientific, but wherein you do not make use of statistical and many objective methods, wherein you make use of understanding, wherein you make use of individual perspectives, wherein you analyze the culture, wherein you analyze culture, all right, wherein you analyze in detail. So नॉन पॉजिटिविस्टिक मेथोडोलॉजी में कौन सी मेथोडोलॉजीज आएंगी? एक आएगी फेनोमेनोलॉजी, दूसरी क्या आएगी? दूसरी आएगी एथनोमेथोडोलॉजी लॉजी, ठीक है। तीसरी क्या आएगी? तीसरी आएगी इंटरप्रिटेटिव। आई एम सॉरी इफ इट फील्स वेरी फास्ट फॉर यू, बट आई हैव टू बी फास्ट, है ना। इंटरप्रिटेटिव सोशियोलॉजी किसने दी थी? मैक्स वेबर ने दी थी। और क्या दिया था? वर्स्टेहेन दिया था मैक्स वेबर ने, वर्स्टेहेन, ऑलराइट, देख लिया। अब आगे देखते हैं। हाउ इज सोशल इक्विलिब्रियम मेंटेन्ड इन पार्सोनियन फ्रेमवर्क? पार्सोनियन फ्रेमवर्क टैलकॉट पार्सन्स का फ्रेमवर्क था। टैलकॉट पार्सन्स ने जो अपना फ्रेमवर्क दिया था उसमें उसने क्या कहा था कि सोशल इक्विलिब्रियम इज अ स्टेट ऑफ हार्मनी। सोशल सिस्टम्स को उसने एनालाइज किया था। उसने एक और सिस्टम दिया था, एजल सिस्टम। यू नो अबाउट एजल सिस्टम? आई विल टेल यू। सी, एजल सिस्टम इज adaptive and it focuses on achieving goals. G for goals, ठीक है। A for adaptation. Then what is INL? Integration and latency, ठीक है। Simulation of motivation and sustaining of motivation, latency. So all this was a part of AGIL framework. अच्छे से समझाऊँ तो देखो बहुत easy framework है। एक एग्जाम्पल से समझ ले अपन तो he said that I am thinking of the example actually. I do not have it in my mind. एकदम से to throw it. I'll talk about this in detail, है ना। Social equilibrium और क्या बोल सकते हैं हम इसके बारे में? This is very one-sided. Only I am speaking, so of course I do not have any ideas coming from another end. अम्बेडकर की बात कर लो। वैसे तो क्रिटिसिज्म हो सकता है इसका, पर ये जो फंक्शनल पर्सपेक्टिव्स कहे ना पार्सन्स ने, ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है डिफरेंट पार्ट्स ऑफ सोशल सिस्टम को मेंटेन करने के लिए, और ये उसकी इंटरडिपेंडेंस को रिकग्नाइज करके चलते हैं, ऑलराइट। सो पर ये एकदम फंक्शनल बात हो गई कि कैसे सोसाइटी हार्मनी में रहती है, कैसे अलग अलग तरीके कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स नहीं होते, तो इसे ऑपोजिशन भी मिलेगा, ऑलराइट। ये जो सिस्टम है इसको काफ़ी हद तक ऑपोजिशन मिला बाय डिफरेंट स्कॉलर्स। नंबर 1 वर मार्क्सिस्ट स्कॉलर्स, ठीक है। दिस यू कैन कीप इन माइंड फॉर द टाइम बीइंग। एनोमी इज रूटेड इन द सोशल स्ट्रक्चर, एक्सप्लेन विद रेफरेंस टू आर.के. मोर्टन्स कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशन, दे आर लिंकिंग द थ्योरीज, ऑलराइट। इमाइल दरखीम ने ये टर्म दिया था एनोमी, which refers to a state of normlessness or lack of social regulation. What? Lack of social regulation. So, and it is rooted in social structure. बिल्कुल it is rooted in social structure, and Merton said this, that it is a result of individual or you can say yes, individual considerations. He emphasized that all these patterns are sustained because of anomy. See, when you talk about this, you have to talk that it is not just a state of mind, and it is not just a state of mind. It is rooted in the societal structure. It is rooted in what the society thinks. So it is rooted in the entire analysis of society, the resources, opportunities, everything you'll talk about here. Alright, I think this is clear, है ना? I assume. And this is a very basic question. See this question, this is a very interesting question. Distinguish between social organization of work in feudal society and in capitalist society. What is social organization of work in a feudal society? It is hierarchical. There are nobles, there are landowners, there are peasants who are obligated to work for them. And in capitalist society, the social organization is composed of the capitalists and the laborers. So what does the capitalist say कि efficiently काम करो, अच्छे से काम करो, productive होके काम करो. All right, so feudal society is characterized by hierarchy. Capitalist society is also characterized by hierarchy, but the modes of production are very different. All right, there is less generalization. Workers' relationship is affected by many factors like the pattern in which they live, the polity in which they live. Everything plays a role. All right, so distribution of resources, nature of work, everything is very much interrelated. Ideology is crucial for social transformation in a democracy. Ideology, what is ideology? A set of ideas, beliefs, and values. It is crucial for social transformation in a democracy. Yes, ideology plays a crucial role for setting up the democratic and social agenda, which can be used as a tool for social transformation. Ideology can also be used as a means of challenging power and as a means of social mobilization, because ideology offers to you what? It offers to you a unifying force, a unifying fabric within a cluttered fabric. So it helps the society in bringing about social change along with a set of shared identity, along with a set of shared purpose. Distinguish between sects and cults with illustrations. See, what is a sect? Sect is a religious group. Alright, members of sect are like each other. They form a lot of association with each other. So it is a part of society which establishes order. On the other hand, cult is a small religious group, all right, wherein cults also have negative connotations. Sect do not have those much negative connotations. Members of the cult are very much different from members of another cult, so there is a lot of division. On the other hand, members of sect may share unity with each other on various fronts. In India, you can talk about various sects and cults. Now, is male authority absent in matrilineal society? What do you think? Presence of female authority is there. See, females are the major decision makers when it comes to matrilineal societies. They hold more power. But is presence of male authority there? Yes, men still hold power in matrilineal societies because gender relations are very complex, wherein they are still considered the head of households and they hold significant leadership roles, but not necessarily gender equality, because the matrilineal society, जब अपन एक तराजू की बात करते हैं, the matrilineal society is actually a bit tilted towards the females as compared to males. Alright, so this is how matrilineal society is there. Explain the relevance of idea of cultural lag in understanding social change. The idea of cultural lag you can describe ki, see, what is cultural lag? Cultural lag is when a society's culture does not change very frequently. Alright, it remains a bit stuck. It can lead to conflicts, it can lead to social problems, and when society's culture is not able to catch up with the other society's culture and with developments, the social changes won't happen, and which can lead to stopping of social progress. Alright, you can mention Talcott Parsons. He argued that cultural lag can facilitate social change by creating a crisis of values. Alright, so cultural lag can also facilitate social change क्योंकि values एक तरीके से construct हो जाएंगी. So you have to analyze about the belief systems also. So it is a very complex relationship indeed and a very multi-dimensional relationship, but cultural lag can hinder social change. According to me, it might lead to social change according to you. So this makes it very dialectical also. This makes it very you can say multi-pronged also, multi-dimensional also. Alright, education helps in perpetuating social and economic inequalities. बिल्कुल, education हमने अभी देखा प्राइवेट एजुकेशन ने कैसे सोशल और इकोनॉमिक अपॉर्चुनिटीज को परपेचुएट किया. कार्ल मार्क्स ने क्या कहा था कि एजुकेशन इज अ टूल इन विच द रूलिंग क्लास यूज टू क्रिएट inequalities that existed in the recreate inequalities that existed in the economic relations, and digital technologies being increasingly emphasized for education, so it is also leading to digital divide. So all of this you can argue, but education is very important है ना, to overcome the deprivation also. Education is very important for development also. Explain the conditions under which collective action transforms into a social movement. What are the conditions when identity becomes, you can say, unified. The social movement will happen. A unification of identity has taken place. Alright, people from different sects are getting unified into the same fold, and then what will happen? A political process will take place. So in this ways, the collective action through political process, through the hold of identity, through structural resource mobilization, can actually transform into a shared sense of action, which transforms into a social movement. Can you give examples in this? There are many examples you can give. All right, you can give examples of women's movements, women's suffrage movements, in which the collective action took use of ideology and transformed into social movement. Alright, you can mention Olympe de Gouges. How do rules of descent and alliance in kinship differ from each other? Rules of descent and alliance. See, kinship has fundamental principles which are descent and alliance. Alright, but descent and alliance indeed differ from each other. What is descent? Descent is lineage. Descent is when you inherit certain things from older generation. It is inheritance. It is passing down of social status. Alliance is what? Alliance is when you are related through social connections like marriage. Alright, so all of this is there. Define secularization. What are the major dimensions in the modern world? You know this, right? Secularization is the process by which institutions lose social importance. Alright, institutions become secular. Social importance in sense they are not valid in the political or the societal frame of work, but they are secular. All of them are equally important. You can talk about the Indian form, the Western form, everything, the cultural conditions, everything you can talk about in this case. Why cultural conditions? Because new and social cultural conditions arise when secularization takes place. Alright, when you will see, if you will ask, I can, or let it be, you can drop your phone number, I can explain this in detail. Alright, you can call me, my email ID is there, you can drop your message on my email ID, I can explain this in detail. But right now, when I am with a task to go with the 25, with the 15 papers, 11 to 25, I'll have to be very fast. I cannot delve into the aspect of secularization from world history point of view and the major dimensions. Alright, see, increasing importance of tertiary sector has weakened the formal organization of work in recent times. What has happened? Increasing importance of tertiary sector. There are three sectors: primary, secondary and tertiary, and the tertiary sector is growing because because the opportunities have not been created in the secondary sector, and the primary sector workers are migrating to cities, so they are contributing to the tertiary sector, wherein, see, now you have to analyze what the thinkers have said about it. Like Max Weber said about the formal organization, he said about status, power, office and bureaucracy. What did he say? He said about all of them in his own theories of bureaucracy, hai na? In his own theories of status and power and organization at workplace. You will mention the Mayo's contribution here, how weakening of formal organization is happening because of informal networks. You'll mention that formal organization in tertiary sector, you will mention, has led to more regulation, more compliance, but more, you can say, regulation compliance, but weakening of formal organization of work. It has lead to professionalism, but indeed logistic networks have come, like Amazon and gig delivery systems and gig works and the content writing gig works and many other gig works like YouTube automation, wherein this has weakened also. Alright, so new forms of occupation are emerging. So the whole structure is kind of undergoing a change. Caste ideology appears to have strengthened in democracy. Bilkul, this is true, and Rajni Kothari argued this. What did she say? What did Rajni Kothari say? एक second, give me a second. Yes, caste ideology appears to have strengthened democracy. So caste ideology is something which is which was always referred to as a source of inequality and discrimination. Alright, but it has strengthened democracy, wherein it has made people more aware about their roles in sustaining the democratic system. Alright, we were talking about whom? Rajni Kothari. He was his theories and his framework was about democracy, wherein marginalized groups have a voice in the political process. Alright, when the society is divided, it is composed of various groups, and marginalized groups influence the political process in a more, you can say, egalitarian form of process. They participate in a more egalitarian form of process, which they try to make it according to their own needs and according to their own demands, which is very important for the sustenance of the social system. Antyodaya through Sarvodaya. Alright, Antyodaya through Sarvodaya. Ambedkar, you can talk about. Ambedkar said that कास्ट अगर जब तक है तो डेमोक्रेसी में तो डिविजन्स आएंगे. आप चला ही नहीं सकते एक ऐसे सिस्टम को जो कास्ट बेस्ड सिस्टम है ना. कास्ट को अवॉइड करना है. अम्बेडकर सेड व्हाट, दैट it will cause hindrance to the political and the democratic system if you are divided on your own lines. M.N. Srinivas also said the same thing, that marginalized group will never be able to gain political influence. Caste system is very bad. But Dipankar Gupta said what? That it helps in consensus building, that it helps in making the deep socio-economic divisions disappear. Now we will do globalization involves deterioration. Globalization involves deterritorialization. मतलब टेरिटोरियलाइजेशन कम हो रहा है ग्लोबलाइजेशन की वजह से. और ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है? क्योंकि इकोनॉमीज चेंज हो रही हैं ग्लोबलाइजेशन की वजह से. आप शेल कंपनीज का यूज़ कर रहे हो, टैक्स हेवन्स का यूज़ कर रहे हो. कुछ कंपनीज टैक्स हेवन्स का यूज़ कर रही हैं. एक तरीके से जो कुछ जगह ही स्थित थी, कुछ वैल्यूज़ और कुछ चीज़ें वो माइग्रेट कर रही हैं, तो डी-टेरिटोरियलाइजेशन हो रहा है ना. हिस्टोरिकली यू एनालाइज द सिल्क रूट, ऑल ऑफ दैट. ऑलराइट, सो ट्रेडिशनली ऑल्सो एंड करंटली ऑल्सो, always and always globalization has promoted deterritorialization, wherein the sovereignty is being challenged. Alright, and you can say a universal framework is emerging in front of us. Universal framework. Examine the dialectical relation between tradition and modernity in the study of social change. Is there a dialectical relation? Yes, there are both these, tradition and modernity, when you study social change, are interrelated concepts. Traditions are values, they are practices. Karwa Chauth is a tradition. What is modernity? Modernity emphasizes on self-solidarity, where work ethic is emphasized, where economic success is emphasized. Alright, so tradition impacts modernity, modernity indeed impacts tradition, wherein you can mention about Peter Berger's books, The Sacred Canopy, wherein he argues that modernity creates a crisis of meaning. Alright, so traditions and practices do not provide a coherent understanding when modernity comes into picture. You can mention other sociologists, and then Zygmunt Bauman you can mention, very important example. Alright, I gave his example before as well. He talked about liquid modernity. So there is indeed a dialectical relation. Alright, elaborate the views of Durkheim. Elaborate the views of Durkheim on elementary forms of religious life. Durkheim worked on this particular subject view in his own work, wherein he emphasized on the elementary forms of religious life. He said that religion plays a very important role in maintaining social order and social solidarity. He said that religion serves as a source of social control. What did he say? Religion is a source of social control. Durkheim says that religion also has an individual function, a psychological function, and indeed a macro level social function, where he emphasized that religion can actually lead to a fundamental, or you can say religion is a fundamental, religion has a fundamental stronghold and a fundamental control over society. Alright, he said that religious practices are social in nature, so there are social bonds within the community which are important. Then he was criticized also. The existence of diversity is there. Then there's ideological divide, everything. Alright, Protestant ethic, the spirit of capitalism, you can mention as the criticism. हो गया. Now we'll do paper 2 2015. Alright. See, the first question is Verrier Elvin's views on freedom of tribals. Verrier Elvin was whom? He was an anthropologist. That is why he talked about the freedom of tribals. He said that tribals should be given autonomy over their own affairs, and he said that tribal communities should be given greater control over their own environment. He emphasized on the autonomy of tribals and the importance of preserving their culture and social identity. Jyotirao Phule as an agrarian radical. Jyotirao Phule as an agrarian radical. Sometimes we call him Jyotiba Phule as well, right? Alright. Jyotirao Phule was a foremost reformer, we know. So he emphasized that caste-based system should not be there. Caste. Alright. There should be no caste-based system. एक second. There should be no caste-based system. ज्योतिबा फूले और ज्योतिराव फूले सेड दैट ये जो लैंड है ना सबको बिलोंग करनी चाहिए. लैंड जो रिसोर्सेज हैं वो इक्वली डिवाइड होनी चाहिए, और ये जो सेक्लूजन है, शूद्रास का सेक्लूजन, ये सब नहीं होना चाहिए. ऑलराइट. कोई भी सिस्टम इनइक्वालिटी को परपेचुएट नहीं करना चाहिए. दैट इज व्हाट ही सेड. ही आर्ग्यूड फॉर अ जस्ट इक्विटेबल एगैलिटेरियन सोसाइटी. ऑलराइट. JEE, just equitable egalitarian society. Louis Dumont's perspective on Indian caste system. Louis Dumont we talked about in 2013 also in detail. Alright, he did what? He said that caste is simply a structural system, and he also was a bit confused about the way caste is being held, and that is why he confused other sociologists also. You can read about it in detail and read about it from a historical point of view, how he analyzed things and how he articulated things in his own manner. How far Gandhi was trusted by untouchables. Alright, Gandhi advocated for non-violent resistance and social justice for the untouchables also. You know about the Dalits and how he helped Dalits and Harijans. He also allowed them to stay in his ashrams. He also advocated for their entry into temples. Alright, entry into temples. So Gandhi was viewed as what? A father. Gandhi was viewed, as he said, Harijans, as he called them, Harijans, the children of God. He was being viewed as a paternal figure. However, see, he was also being criticized because he had a personal, individualistic framework when he talked about all this. Now let us talk about feminization of poverty. Feminization of poverty is a concept which is raised by various sociologists like Neera Desai. I was unable to recall her name. Neera Desai. Her book is also there. A very good book. Alright, she highlights that gender, caste and class, all of them have an intersection with the feminization of poverty, and women are always more likely to experience discrimination and gender-based violence, and women bear the brunt of caregiving responsibilities. So poverty is always feminized. Women are accorded a more poor status in the society because they are unprivileged and they have to fight more against poverty and injustice. Right? Let us talk about this. Is caste system changing, weakening or disintegrating in India? See, the caste system has had a long history. Alright, purity, pollution, everything you can write about. According to me, it is changing also. According to me, it is weakening also. According to me, it is disintegrating also. Alright, you can mention about legal measures, constitutional measures and various opportunities the new castes are getting. You can talk about the caste networks and education and its role. in blurring the divides and promoting a more inclusive mindset. Alright, caste system is relevant? No. But is division of occupation relevant? Yes. According to structural functionalists, it is very relevant, and caste concerns are like becoming paramount when it comes to politics. Alright, so all of that you can argue here. Give some more some of the important studies relating to structural changes in Indian family system. See, Indian family system is changing because of various factors like urbanization. Alright, so urbanization study, you can mention the cultural factors are undergoing a change. You can mention about that study wherein complex households are becoming more, you can say, tilted towards the paternal system with time. Why? Because the economic resources are being segregated to a lot of extent inside the family. The economic resources are controlled by man of the house. The women are not allowed to participate equally. So there's a combination of various factors, but the households are also changing. They are becoming more nuclear. The Indian family system is changing from agricultural to non-agricultural occupations. The transactions of resources are happening at a larger pace. पहले अगर कुछ नया खरीदना होता था तो every family member was consulted. Now this is not happening. So this is also a framework or a feature of the new changing regimes in the families. Alright, a lot of things are changing, and you can mention about the women's role, the feminist perspective, everything. Broadly compare kinship system of North and South India. See, what is the difference? In North India, we see multiple generations of households living together. But in South India, we see that the nuclear families are more and more prevalent. Why? Because economic opportunities, urbanization and migration has increased in the South India. So marriage patterns have changed. जब अपन नॉर्थ इंडिया साउथ इंडिया की बात करते हैं, रिमेंबर द न्यूलिथिक एज. न्यूलिथिक एज में दैमाबाद, अपन को पता है दैमाबाद के नीचे वो कल्चर ही नहीं था. चाल्कोलिथिक कल्चर था, मेगालिथ्स थे, और यहाँ पे कौन सा कल्चर था? न्यूलिथिक कल्चर था, वेयर इन आयरन वॉज ऑल्सो बींग यूज. सो एवरीथिंग यू विल टॉक अबाउट हियर. साउथ इंडिया नॉर्थ इंडिया का कैसे डिवाइड है? किनशिप सिस्टम के बेसिस पे. और एक लीनिएज की बात करेंगे अपन, और ट्रेडिशंस की भी बात करेंगे. Discuss the paradigm of modernization of Indian tradition. We have already talked about this. Yogendra Singh, all of that. Alright, you can mention about the little and great traditions and everything. Little and great tradition. You can like mention it according to your own framework, the way you have studied about it. What is patriarchy? Child socialization pattern, how does it affect? See, it is a social system wherein authority is held by a male family member and others are subjugated to some extent. So it includes gender discrimination, unequal pay for men and women when you talk about it at workplace, and limited educational and health opportunities for women when you talk about it in the societal framework. So of course it will affect child socialization. Leela Dubé said that patriarchy is reinforced through socialization of children into gender roles. मैंने वो रेस का एग्जाम्पल दिया था, बहुत खूबसूरत एग्जाम्पल था, wherein the second grade students were asked to run, then the 9th grade students were asked to run, then there was a difference. Alright, that study was there. Discuss the problems of elderly in India. And what are the different perspectives to solve their problems? See, there are various problems of elderly. There can be financial problems, health problems, social problems, pension issues, the social issues wherein they suffer from psychological problems like loneliness. Alright, loneliness. Wherein they are incapable, they suffer from isolation. डिफरेंट पर्सपेक्टिव्स क्या होंगे? अपन को एक वेलफेयर अप्रोच अपनानी होगी, कम्युनिटी बेस्ड, और एक एम्पावरमेंट अप्रोच अपनानी होगी, सो दैट दे आर नॉट सबजुगेटेड. Discuss the Marxist approach in analyzing Indian tradition. What will you say in this? In the Marxist approach, we will talk about A.R. Desai. Alright, here you have to talk about A.R. Desai, who was Marxist Indian sociologist. Sorry. According to him, material conditions were created by Britishers, and then Indian nationalism arose and Indian framework changed. Industrialization was introduced by Britishers, modernization was introduced by Britishers, and Britishers radically changed the economic structuring of India. All of that he said. Alright, industrialization we talked about in detail. All of that you will mention. What are the basic tenets here? What are the basic tenets of Hindu religion? Is Hinduism based on monotheism or polytheism? Hinduism is based on polytheism. And what are the basic tenets? Basic tenets are worship of multiple gods, wherein different aspects of divine are emphasized. Already, you go to a temple, you see many gods. You do not see always one deity, you see many deities. Belief in dharma you can talk about, and in karma you can talk about. And then you can talk about how icons and iconography has influenced our religion, how we perceive an ultimate reality. You can talk about the Vedant philosophy also. Why is it necessary to implement TCP/NDT Act, Preconception and Prenatal Diagnostic Techniques Act? Alright, why is it important? This act is important because all दिस हैज़ टू बी रेगुलेटेड यार. सेक्स डिटर्मिनेशन हैज़ टू बी प्रिवेंटेड, क्योंकि उससे लोग क्या करते हैं, लोग फीमेल फीटिसाइड करते हैं, फीमेल इन्फेंटिसाइड करते हैं. ऑलराइट, उससे क्या होती है, उससे फीमेल की पॉपुलेशन कम होती है, सेक्स रेशियो इफेक्ट होता है, उससे हमारी सोसाइटी की हार्श रियलिटीज़ हमको पता चलती हैं. और तभी ये एक्ट्स और ये सब जो है ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. सिलेक्टिव सेक्स अबॉर्शन को रोकने की सख्त ज़रूरत है, तभी ये एक्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट है. ठीक है, तो नेसेसरी तो है. 2015 का क्वेश्चन है. ऑलराइट, इम्पॉर्टेंट कंपोनेंट्स ऑफ नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी, यू कैन मेंशन अबाउट दिस इन डिटेल, है ना. 10+2 एवरीथिंग, द वेरियस सब्जेक्ट्स एंड द वेरियस लैंग्वेजेस, हिंदी, इंग्लिश एंड वन अलाइंड लैंग्वेज, academic bank of credit, all of that you will mention. Main objectives of tribal sub plan, अरे यार फिर से मेन ऑब्जेक्टिव्स ऑफ ट्राइबल सब प्लान. अरे ऑल राइट, सो ट्राइबल सब प्लान इज वॉट, एज फार एज आई रिमेंबर इट इज अ डेवलपमेंटल स्ट्रैटेजी. ठीक है, wherein the tribals undergo socio-economic changes as per the wherein there are targeted social economic changes के लिए investments made for the tribals, wherein they are planned, wherein their development is planned, so that their changes they are undergoing are also planned, so they are protected. तो जो उनकी यूनिक क्राफ्ट्स हैं वो डेवलपमेंट के प्रोसेस में, उनकी जो यूनिक आर्ट है, उनकी जो यूनिक लैंग्वेज है, वो एक तरीके से खो नहीं जाए, उसको भी तो हमको संभाल के रखना है. दैट इज़ देयर. ऑलराइट, दे आर गिवन द राइट्स ऑफ देयर रिसोर्सेज, राइट्स फॉर देयर रिसोर्सेज विच दे वैल्यू. Effects of displacement through development on rural, landless and marginal farmers. You can talk about this. Displacement is what? Involuntary removal, and development is what? Yes, development is what? The need of the hour. So loss of livelihood is happening, especially when it comes to rural, landless and marginal farmers. And development is happening? No, it is happening, but it is not reaching them. Who are the benefitors, or who are required to be sustained by the developmental process? So what is happening to them? Only one thing is happening here. Social dislocation is happening, and they are being more deprived. I told you in detail how they lose the social connections, social network, which is very important. Displacement issues relating to the informal labor market in urban India. अर्बन इंडिया में कैसे इनफॉर्मल है लेबर मार्केट, और इसके क्या इश्यूज़ हैं. अर्बन इंडिया में वल्नरेबिलिटी है. अर्बन इंडिया में तभी स्ट्रीट वेंडर्स के लिए हमें एक स्पेशल स्कीम लानी पड़ गई. अर्बन इंडिया में सोशल स्ट्रैटिफिकेशन तो ज़्यादा नहीं है, पर लेबर फोर्स को एक तरीके से बॉटम हाफ में ही देखा जाता है. तो देयर आर प्रॉब्लम्स. यू कैन एनालाइज इट अलॉन्ग विद द सॉल्यूशंस. हाउ फार श्रीनिवास संस्कृताइजेशन is modernizing force or traditionalizing force in understanding the changes in the caste system. Alright, so while he was studying the Pyqs in the South India, he talked about Sanskritization. Alright, he talked about the traditionalizing force, and he wrote a book, Social Change in Modern India. You know about this book? This was his book. Alright, Social Change in Modern India. And what do we talk about in this? Sanskritization, a process by which low caste tried to imbibe the way and the lifestyle patterns of the Dvija born caste. They gave up non-veg eating and all of that, and they try to become just like them. They go to the temples. Alright, so of course, see, you can say here that they try to preserve the traditional economic roles, but also it is varied across various regions and across various places. Alright, you can talk about G.S. Ghuri also, his work also in this case. We'll move forward, discuss the impact of post 1970s feminist movement on Indian middle class. Of course, it has impacted the Indian middle class to a lot of extent. See, you can talk about Gail Omvert again. We talked about him pehle bhi. See, it is asking the impact of post 1970s feminist movements on Indian middle class. So जो जेंडर राइट्स मूवमेंट्स थे उसने एक तरीके से आज के जो मूवमेंट्स हैं और आज का इंडियन मिडिल क्लास है उसको एक तरीके से बेटर ऑफ तो करा ना. पहले जो मूवमेंट्स थे उनने एक तरीके से एक डोमिनो इफेक्ट क्रिएट कर दिया जो आज का मिडिल क्लास सस्टेन करके चलता है. तो जैसा कि इनने भी कहा, एक सेक्सुअल डिवीजन ऑफ लेबर जो पहले के टाइम पे होता था वो आज इतना विजिबल नहीं है और वो आज इतना प्रोमिनेंट नहीं है. आज डिवीजन ऑफ लेबर एग्जिस्ट तो करता है पर वो एक तरीके से इतना रिजिड नहीं है, वो फ्लेक्सिबल है. वो एक तरीके से आप नीरा देसाई का पर्सपेक्टिव दे सकते हो इधर. ऑलराइट, वेयर इन शी सेड दैट इक्वालिटी इज द फोरमोस्ट कंडीशन. ऑलराइट, शी सेड अबाउट द वेरियस फॉर्म्स ऑफ जेंडर सेंसिटिविटी. What do women's movements want? They want that the notion of marriage and motherhood should not limit women's opportunities, and they should never limit marriage and motherhood. Should never limit opportunities of women. ठीक है. What are the major concerns of ethnic identity and religious identity in India? What are the major concerns? You can talk here about the caste discrimination, है ना. You can talk about the और कौन सी identity है, religious identity. You can talk about communalism. You can talk about Northeast. You can talk about the political debate in Tamil Nadu. All of that is happening because of these identities only and the assertion of identities and the over assertion. So then we have the problem of equality, we have the problem of security, and we have the problem of you can say majoritarianism. What is the problem? The problem is here. The problem is majoritarianism. Alright. How serious is the problem of trafficking against women and children in India? Is it very serious? Yes, of course. As the word suggests, it is very serious. Article 23 and 24. Herein you will say that Article 23 explicitly says that the trade of individual is prohibited by law. है ना, trafficking of individual is prohibited by law. You can talk about the crime reports, and you can talk about how socio-economic factors also play a great role. We have already talked that women are more unprivileged and more discriminated. Alright, you can talk about certain forms of preventive measures like Bachpan Bachao Andolan, child friendly villages. Alright, Bachpan Bachao Andolan is an NGO which has launched the prevention of child trafficking के लिए child friendly villages. You can talk about that. You can talk about other organization. You can talk about you can talk about this foundation. Discuss B.R. Ambedkar as a wise democrat. Why is this question calling B.R. Ambedkar a wise democrat? Because B.R. Ambedkar had a very crucial role in protecting our democratic system from a major evil, inequality. Whatever B.R. Ambedkar did, he believed in the equality of individuals, and he emphasized on constitutional morality also. Alright. B.R. Ambedkar promoted social justice on all the fronts, including the reservation for disadvantaged. We talked a lot about reservation when we talked about Mandal Commission. Yes. You can talk here about individual liberty also. Dignified life is very important. Life of dignity. Alright, so he was a wise Democrat and he was a very educated individual who was not just a social reformer but also an economist, also an politician, also an Indian jurist. Like I am also bachelor in economics. B.R. Ambedkar was also bachelor in economics. Alright. Discuss the main features of farmers' movements in independent India. What are the main features of farmers' movements? See, we have done the same question, exactly the same question, recently only. Wherein the farmers' movements demands, we analyzed the tariffs also, all of that which is happening, how farmers have to suffer, and how MSP is also important, but the farmers' demand is also important, and in independent India. And in independent India, you can talk about how peasants are not that privileged still in spite of so many legislations. You can also say how uh, cooperative societies are playing a role. One university has been established in Gujarat, Anand region, for cooperatives. So all of these are solutions to promote the united struggle of farmers and to solve their issues, and government has to step in, and government does step in to solve the issues of farmers. So the government has always held the farmers as in this budget also, the budget was about the women, about the farmers, about the demographic dividend of the country. So budget also emphasizes a lot on farmers. Bihar mein there's this crop which we eat. It is like white colored. I'm unable to remember the name. It is white colored, makhana, so all of that is being taken into account. To what extent Muslim Personal Law Board is an agreement with Islamic feminist agenda? See, the Islamic feminists in India have significant agreements with the Muslim Personal Law Board. Alright, like, see, I do not know much about Muslim Personal Law Board. I do not know much about this Muslim Personal Law Board, but I can tell you about Islamic feminist agenda. Islamic feminists always argued against triple talaq. Alright. Islamic feminists always argued against polygamy. And in polygamy, you talk about what? Polygyny. The women's rights were always emphasized. The women's, you can say, gender equality was always emphasized by Islamic feminist agenda. So there can be disagreements or there can be agreements between the body and the Islamic feminist agenda. Analyze Gandhi as a moralist, ascetic man and a man of action through Hind Swaraj. You can do this easily. Gandhi ji was a moral reformer. Gandhi ji was an ascetic also. He lived a very spiritual life. He lived with the idea of Swarajya along with the idea of Atmanirbharta. He emphasized on the chakra. He was a man of actions. Yes, he participated in various satyagraha like the Champaran satyagraha. Alright. He argued for non-violence. Alright, he argued for satyagraha and he participated in various he participated in various other responsibilities which tell he was an ascetic man. Like when nothing was there to do, he said, let us do the chores of the day. Let us help the sanitation workers. Let us help the underprivileged. Let us help in making our country swachh. Let us keep doing certain actions. Alright, so through his actions also he was we can analyze that he was a very ascetic person and he was a very moralistic person. Alright, let us move forward. Let us see this. Human development approach affirms that education and healthcare growth are more important than economic growth. education and healthcare growth are more important than economic growth. Yes, but see, it affirms. But in this issue, when we are going to discuss this with respect to post liberalized society, we will say that both of them should go hand in hand. It is not that educational and healthcare growth should lag behind and only economic growth should happen, only industrialization should happen, only pollution should happen, and we should ignore the healthcare costs and we should ignore the basic responsibilities towards our motherland. That should not be the case. In this case, you can utilize a lot of examples from economics, like capability approach of Amartya Sen, like social development approach, and like the AR Desai ka approach of AR Desai said that all the social institutions are there for humans' well-being. So it is crucial to contribute to the social institution so that human well-being is assured and there is less conflict between the two. You can talk about Gandhiji also here. Gandhiji also talked a lot about the economic development, wherein he said that he had just 7 principles, wherein he said one of the things about economic growth also. Alright, so trust and honesty along with the major social functions like education and healthcare must not be sidelined and must not be neglected. All the social reformers, Jyotiba Phule, B.R. Ambedkar, Dayanand Saraswati and our Raja Ram Mohan Roy, सबने किस पे emphasize किया? Education पे emphasize किया. Alright, so it is very important for economic growth. Write a brief note on freedom of press. You can write a brief note on freedom of press, wherein media is a very important pillar of democracy. Free press is very essential. Our rank in World Reporters Without Borders World Press Index is not so good, but we must work on improving it. We must work on giving journalists their due share when it comes to ensuring freedom of press. Alright, we must ensure that whatever happens should happen for the best interest of our country. So always the best interests of nation and democracy must be upheld. It is important to uphold the best interests of the nation and the democracy.